My name is Joshua Kessner, and I'm a student at Ball State University in the David Letterman School of Telecommunications. Being a student in the David Letterman School of Telecommunications has provided for some really great experiences to prepare me for a career in sports production, as well as other forms of media production. A valuable experience I have had is being a part of a student organization called Cardinal Sports Live, a sports television production. Cardinal Sports Live is a weekly television show that showcases Ball State sports.
A few times here in the past couple of weeks and really in the months, but I think them mentally being back in this game, we're seeing players be back in this game. So I think that's one thing that they're really going to need to continue, and hopefully this win tonight they can ride that momentum through into this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, Anne-Marie hit the nail right on the head there. The last couple of weeks we've seen this team struggle, and they've been really flat. You looked at the last game we played against Loyola, and we got swept in 3 sets. So hopefully we have a strong performance tonight. Hopefully that elevates us enough. Win or lose, I hope we get the win. But even if we lose, I hope that's enough to carry us into a good Loyola match. I think that'll be a good match, and I think we should be able to pick up a W in that one.
I think it's definitely an intense rivalry. Ball State hasn't necessarily got the wins, sort of like with the football team and NIU. But, we're just looking to finally beat Loyola.
I am currently the technical director for Cardinal Sports Live. I have also been a studio camera operator, an audio manager, a floor director, and a teleprompter operator.
Game time, we'll use the conference and non-conference schedules.
Every morning.
Ready time. With side graphic. 10 seconds. 9.
We
on game time? 5, 4, 3, 2, and is all 5.
We are back in Studio B, and we welcome out a familiar face in
6.
Peter. For those who didn't see our previous show, Peter served as the WCOD men's basketball color commentator on the radio, and he also served as the fill-in for the play-by-play. So Peter, it's been a week of final shows for you here at Ball State. How's the experience?
Well, it's been bittersweet for sure. You're referring to my final show with Newslink earlier this week, and that was certainly bittersweet. And bittersweet for my last appearance here on Cardinal Sports Live, of which I was a member of my freshman and sophomore years, and you guys have kindly invited me back for whatever reason for oftentimes over the last couple of years.
Now, right now, the men's basketball team only has 3 prospects signed for next season. And we'll break down each of them right here in studio. So we'll start things off with Ishmael El Amin, a 6'4" point guard from Hopkins High School in Minnesota. Peter, how does he fit in with next year's squad?
Well, I think he's going to be a guy who can come in and play right away. You're talking about a combo guard who really excels in transition, a guy who can push the tempo. He fits well in James Whitford's system. They want to get out and run, and he's a guy who's at his most dangerous when he has the basketball on the open floor. You see him with the elevation. He's got the bunnies for sure. Very long, 6'4". He's got good size. He can play some points. He's got a good feel for the game. Good pull-up jump shot, and he can space the floor with his ability to shoot the basketball as well. And obviously, he's got those bloodlines. His father, Khalid El Amin, was a superstar at UConn, led them to a national championship. So I think he's going to be a guy who's got a world of potential, and I think he can slide in next year as a kind of a backup point guard behind Taylor Persons, and then maybe you'll see him fill Taylor's shoes a couple of years from now when Taylor graduates.
Are you worried about him having to put on any weight or anything? He does look like he's playing very well, but he's just sprained. Do you think he'll be able to hold up against Division I opponents?
For sure. I think that's certainly something you hear with a lot of freshmen when they come in, right? That they have to kind of add that muscle. Obviously, the weightlifting programs, the developmental programs physically aren't the same in high school that they are in college. So certainly being in a college weight room when he gets here this summer will benefit him. But Coach Whitford, if there's one thing him and his staff have shown in their 4 years here, they can develop guys. And you look at the work Franco House did on his body, the work Trey Moses has done. Tyler Teague's added 25 pounds of muscle since he's been here. Zach Hollywood last year added a ton of muscle in his year long. So I think certainly he's got some work to do, as do the other 2 freshmen that we're going to talk about when they come in. But that shouldn't be a problem with what Coach Whitford and his staff have done over the last few years.
Now, assuming everyone who's supposed to returns for Brent and then Trevor, how do you think Ishmael fares in next year's rotation with all these guards that Coach Whitford has?
4. Take 4.
I think I'm just really worried. I don't know if he will actually get as much playing time as we'd expect, just because there is such a plethora of weapons at the guard position. You talk about Persons and Jeremy Tyler, and Sean Sellers in there, Francis Chiafway. And also the transfer, John Trell Walker, he's averaged 13 points a game at Incarnate Word, a Division I school in the Southwest. So he could definitely have a major role to the team as well. So I'm just sure there's going to be a battle for minutes at that position.
Thanks.
So I guess we'll just see who performs the best in the offseason and who can actually help this team out the most.
Okay, now go ahead and
Ready 5 and dissolve 5.
To another episode of
6,
Cardinal
get your
Sports
single
Live.
shot of
I'm
Paige.
Paige Washington. Joining me today are Preston husband, Kyle Kedra, and Claire McGuire. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
What?
Doing
We're
well.
on 6.
Tired.
We're,
No.
A
Okay.
little tired because it is 100 days before Ball State Stance
Ready.
Marathon. So be
6
sure
with
to
front
start
side.
fundraising, supporting a
have
good
whoever's
cause
on
going
5
to
move
Riley
to 6.
Who's on 5?
Hospital for Children.
Yeah. How's everybody's week been?
You're not talking
Depends
about
on the
Who's
that.
on
weather,
5?
so
Yeah.
complain.
68 today,
it
guys?
was like 74.
Yeah,
We're gonna
70
single
tomorrow,
shot
I
of
think.
six.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But
Quickly,
rain.
please,
Rain,
please,
possibly.
thank you.
You guys ready to talk some sports?
Yes.
All right, well, it's that time of year again. It's basketball
five.
season. Women's basketball opened their season with an early
Go to-
11 o'clock
go to
game
5
on
and get a
Friday,
single shot of
getting a
Paige.
convincing
We just,
88 to 60
we'll leave
win.
5
They
static and
also
then
played a second
have
home
you on
game
6.
last night where they dominated the Purple Aces of Evansville, winning 84 to 49. What can we expect from this women's team this year?
3, 2, and dissolve 4.
The football team loses its 4th straight.
Women's volleyball kicks off the MAC tournament,
13.
and the college basketball season is in full swing. This is Cardinal Sports Live.
Roll check dissolve 13.
That's just saying.
Side graphics, please.
Good evening and welcome to Cardinal Sports Live. I am your host, Kyle Riggles. Joining me on the show tonight are Tim Rushi and Jack Kaiser. Guys, we had record-breaking temperatures here in Muncie tonight. Were you guys able to get outside and enjoy the weather today?
You know, I unfortunately did not. I was going off of the weather last night, so I assumed, it was going to be frigid outside and try to stay inside. But yeah, I guess that was great to have it, really nice out.
Beautiful weather, 70 degrees in November. Are you kidding me? Unfortunately, it's going to get a little colder this weekend, but enjoying it.
We talked about before on the show, he's someone they've really relied on. But then also, I guess, sort of Riley Neal. I mean, he didn't turn the ball over, which was good, a good change in a sense. But again, I guess it was just the offense, moving the ball at key points in the game, and they never really had some key person to rely on. I think when they came to play, when they needed to convert on 3rd down.
I look at Riley Neal's play, and he didn't play too bad. 33 for 49, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Not a bad game by any means for Riley Neal. Unfortunately, they were one-dimensional. They kept stacking the box against James Gilbert in the rushing game, forced Riley Neal to make all the plays, and that's not the way you do it if you're Ball State to win a football game on the road against Toledo. Something interesting in that game, Riley Neal actually led the team in rushing yards in that game with 85 yards on the ground. James Gilbert, who we've praised this year for his great play, he only got 11 touches and ran for just 19 yards. So Toledo was really able to shut him down and force the Cardinals to focus more on their passing game, even in that thick fog. But Jack, what happened? You talked about it a little bit. What happened to the running game? How did they get shut down so bad? Well, they continue to put 7 men in the box and force Riley Neal to be the player that beats them. And if you're a defense for any team, and Toledo showcased this, then you want to make Riley Neal, rather than James Gilbert, beat you on the offensive side of the ball. And they did exactly that. Riley Neal passed 50 times, had a decent game, but that still wasn't enough. Toledo still blew Ball State out. So Toledo has followed the blueprint that other defenses have followed all year.
Oh yeah, I think definitely too is Toledo having confidence, in their secondary, be able to cover Ball State wide receivers. Like Jack was mentioning, they'd stack the box with 7 defenders in there. You got single coverage on the outside. In years past, like with Jordan Williams, you'd see Ozzie Man to Jack Miles to go throw to him on the outside, and you'd see him grab these one-on-one balls. But again, I guess James Gilbert, as we see here against I believe NIU, this is sort of when the decline, in a sense, started to happen with James Gilbert, where he wasn't necessarily that big rushing threat that they could rely on every game. And again, I just team stacking the box, as you see here.
And now with that loss last night, Ball State is knocked out of eligibility for a bowl now. No hopes for a bowl game this year. But just one game remains on the schedule for Ball State this year.
Cardinal Sports Live also has a group of podcasts which talk about the professional sports leagues. These leagues include the NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. I am a co-founder and director for these podcasts. Also, I am the host for the Cardinal Sports Live NHL podcast. One of the biggest things I have learned by being director of these podcasts is that it is important to give proper guidance to those who you manage, while also communicating properly with those above you in the larger organization. We'll see where they go in terms of playoffs. Speaking of firing coaches, we have the Islanders. The New York Islanders are 12-4-2 under Doug Weight after firing Jack Capuano. Guys, what do you think the reason for this is?
Well, you have to remember sometimes, this kind of lights a fire under players because obviously whenever you have a change in coaching or, upper management and whatnot, once that change is made, the magnifying glass is then put on the players. So obviously players want to, pick up their play and pick up the pace and, play better because they're under the microscope. They don't want to have to be traded or anything like that. And, you might feel bad that you got your coach fired because you weren't playing well. So obviously, there's that, some player motivation, and sometimes maybe it's coaching style or something like that where, maybe it's time for a new system with the skill set and the players that are put in place. And, right now they're playing pretty well, and, sometimes a coaching change is needed, and maybe that's what was needed, a different strategy and whatnot. They're still having a rough season as far as standings and whatnot, but a lot of people expect a lot more from this team because if you look at them, they do have some talent. They do have a lot of guys that could score goals. Maybe it just really comes down to a coaching change needing to happen, and so far it's working.
Yeah, I think he has really changed the style of play. Weight that is from Jack Capuano, and they got off to just a brutal start to the year. And two of their big free agent pickups, Andrew Ladd and Jason Chimera, were underperforming, a lot, just not doing anywhere near what they were expected to. I know Andrew Ladd came in as expectation of a first or second line guy, and he was, on the fourth line by November. So he got off to a brutal start, and since the coaching change, both Ladd and Chimera have been, really playing well. And John Tavares is another guy. He has 25 points in his last 21 games. So that's outstanding production from your best player. That's what you're going to need. They were 8 points out of a playoff spot when Capuano was fired, and they now currently have a wild card spot. So I think he's really changed the style of play, and I think they're getting production from the players they need production from.
Outside of Cardinal Sports Live, my classes have taught me how to use the Sony NX5 and Sony EX3 cameras, as well as how to use a range of audio hardware including lavalier mics, dynamic mics, and condenser mics. My classes have also taught me how to use software including Avid Pro Tools, Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Photoshop, and Adobe Illustrator. I will be learning how to code in HTML and also be learning how to use Adobe Dreamweaver in the fall of 2017. Outside of class, I have my own YouTube channel, which showcases my work. On this channel, I have my own podcast, where I analyze the NHL. This is separate from the Cardinal Sports Live podcasts. I keep it professional while always looking for ways to advance the podcast to be more enjoyable and better looking. I also have highlights of GoPro footage from pickup hockey games that I have played. Thank you for visiting my portfolio. If you would like to see more content that I have produced, then I recommend visiting the Cardinal Sports Live YouTube channel, or you could visit my personal YouTube channel. You can find the Cardinal Sports Live YouTube channel by clicking the blue button below this video. My YouTube channel can be found by clicking the YouTube symbol in the upper left corner of this web page. You can also find my Twitter and Instagram there. If you would like to contact me, please go to the Contact tab at the top of this page. I'm Joshua Kestner, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.